Pro-Animal Future is an animal extremist organization that is exceptionally dangerous to animal agricultural producers. While on the surface, it looks like they are only trying to ban one slaughterhouse in the city of Denver, when we dug deeper, they make it very clear that this is not just about one slaughterhouse in Denver. They are ultimately trying to test their message to build intelligence on us as an industry, our message, and how the slaughterhouse employees will respond. More importantly, they are learning how to build and refine a campaign to replicate in other cities. Pro-Animal Future sees a win even if their ballot initiative fails, because they have gained intelligence on the opposition and convinced voters to stand with them. This will aid them in building their next campaign to carry to the next city or county. As an industry, we must take this seriously, not only for slaughterhouses, but also for our entire industry, from the cow-calf producer to the processing facility. That was written by the Executive Vice President of Colorado Cattlemen's Association, and reading that feels so good. I remember a couple years ago when the meat industry published a list of the most dangerous animal rights advocates, and I knew that I had to be on there one day. Pro-Animal Future hasn't officially made that list, but the industry's spoken about us enough that, I don't know, it just feels really amazing. And to her credit, she's almost entirely right. Not that this isn't about Denver at all, because it definitely is. Activists in Denver have been protesting the slaughterhouse here for years. Superior Farms has violated halal protocol, humane slaughter standards, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, OSHA standards, and they murder 500,000 lambs every single year. Obviously, we want to shut them down. By the end of tomorrow, we'll know whether voters stand with us against animal abuse or if the public isn't ready for such bold measures yet. But back to Mrs. Executive Animal Abuser. She is right that even if these measures fail, we still see it as a win. In this video, I'm going to explain why we've already won this election. For background, since I got a ton of new subscribers last week, Pro-Animal Future is running 2 citizen-led ballot initiatives here in Denver, Colorado. For you non-Americans, that's right about here. That means that on the presidential ballot, Denver voters will have a chance to vote yes to ban the sale of fur and to vote yes to phase out slaughterhouses in city limits. I joined the team as social media lead back in March, and it's been a whirlwind ever since. Before we get into the impact these campaigns have had, I want to tell a quick story about baseball. And don't worry, I don't even like baseball, so this will be short. It's about the legend Frank Robinson. In some ordinary, otherwise forgettable game, Robinson heard that majestic crack of the ball leaving his bat and was so positive it went over the left field fence at Fenway that he ran at half speed to first base. But then suddenly, the ball came up short, banging off Fenway's iconic 37-foot-tall green monster. Robinson had to settle for a single. His team won in a blowout, so it didn't really matter. Yet after the game, Robinson walked in and slammed down $200 on his manager's desk. He was fining himself. He had been too certain of the outcome, too focused on it, and it had meant that he hadn't done his best, so he let his team and himself down. I love that story because it reveals one of the most important tenets by which I live my life, which is that there are some things we can control and some things we cannot control, and it's always better to focus on what you can control. Frank couldn't control the ball after he hit it, but he could control how much effort he put into running. Similarly, we can't control the results of the election. We can't force people to vote yes. We can't control the misinformation the opposition campaign has been spreading. But we can control the effort we put into the campaigns and the lessons we take out of them. When most people go about their daily lives, the thought of billions of animals suffering inside factory farms never crosses their minds. Most voters I talk to tell me that they try not to think about animals killed for food and clothing. Over the last year and a half, we've forced Denverites to think about animals used in fur and the animal farming industry. Unlike many initiatives in the US, we didn't get an elected representative to put this on the ballot. We got over 30,000 signatures from voters to qualify. After getting on the ballot, we've talked to tens of thousands more. At a farmer's market a few weeks ago, I was approached by an angry 75-year-old man. He told me that he would never vote to ban slaughterhouses, but after asking him a few simple questions, his demeanor completely changed. I asked, "Have you ever felt conflicted about how animals are treated for food and clothing?" He said he had, but he tried not to think about it. I asked if he'd ever had a personal connection with an animal. He then shared how much he loves his dogs, how he prefers animals to most humans, and how he knew about how bad industrial farming was. After a few more minutes of talking through various objections, he agreed to vote yes. Throughout the course of this campaign, over 300 activists have come together to encourage people to grapple with what happens to animals. If you walk down the street in Denver, you'll see thousands of animal-focused posters. If you go on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, you'll see ads like this.
I honestly think the worst part for the animal is knowing where it's going and what's going to be done to them, because they were conscious of that.
If you drive to work, you'll see our billboards. One is a mobile billboard that shows actual footage from the slaughterhouse. You'll also see activists holding banners at intersections all over the city. If you go on Reddit, you'll see dozens of threads debating animal rights. If you turn on the radio, you'll hear me crushing meat industry reps in debates. If you watch the news, you'll see out-of-touch animal abusers floundering to justify the unnecessary harm they create. In all my years of vegan-focused street outreach, I made it to the press one time. With these measures, we can't even count how many times we've been covered. The stories have mostly been local, but The Intercept covered DXC's undercover investigation of Superior Farms that exposed them for criminal animal abuse. We even made it to NPR's Instagram, which reaches people all over the country. Most of the press has been negative, but that's to be expected when you go against billion-dollar corporations. Speaking of corporations, they've spent over $2 million fighting against our campaign. In my years of being vegan, I haven't willingly given the meat industry any money, but they've taken it anyway through taxes and subsidies. It's an honor to be part of a campaign that's caused such an emotional and financial hit to animal abusers all over the world. We also learned a ton from these measures, like how much money the opposition can raise, which of their messaging is effective, which of our messaging was effective, and how to deal with the pressure of the campaign. I remember my first radio debate back in July, and I was so nervous. I couldn't sleep, I was shaky, I didn't think I was prepared. But I did it, and it was completely fine. Since then, I learned stress management techniques, better talking points, worked more on public speaking, and now the media doesn't scare me. The rest of the pro-animal team feels the same way. We've all grown so much, and I'm confident that if we could do it all over again, knowing what we know now, we would absolutely win by a landslide. Today, I would be pretty surprised if we won by a landslide. But I haven't been thinking about that too much because I know that we tried our best. And no matter what happens, we are going to keep learning and fighting, and we will not stop until every cage is empty and every animal is free. Thank you for watching, and special thanks to anyone who worked on the campaign. I am eternally grateful for all the work we did for animals and excited for this to finally be over.